my channel. Today I'm going to be comparing 9 different brands of gel liquids and how they work with dip powders. So I'm going to be working on my 3 nails on my left hand. These nails are the most alike and they're also very bendy and flexible. The first thing I'm going to do is prepare my nails by putting on a peel-off base coat. I did a lot of research for this video, so let's get started with Aimeili. The brushes in these bottles are fairly thin, so they only mildly fan out along your nail. The liquids are also thin, but they're not really all that runny. My process for these tests will include a base coat, a thin apex building dip coat, always brushing off the excess powder in between dips, 2 full color base coats with dip, and 1 clear base coat with dip. Then I will file, buff, and wipe with a lint-free wipe. Then I will do 1 last base coat and cure, and my top coat and cure. On this first coat of base coat, I noticed that the thin consistency did seem to flood my sidewalls just a little bit. It wasn't bad, but I did need to go in with a toothpick and clean it out before I cured it. And the cure time for their base coat is 30 seconds. I decided to go ahead and do my apex building layer because I always do in all of my manis. I also chose white as my color because I feel as though you can really see blemishes well with white. Part of the research that I did for this video was to reach out to all of these brands and ask them some basic questions. I asked where their product was made, I asked if they were cruelty-free, vegan, if they were made with natural resins, and then I also asked, are they 5-free, 7-free, 9-free, or free of any of the chemicals that would be concerning to a consumer? Aimeili did get back to me very, very quickly, and their response was China, yes, 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 and yes. So yes, they are cruelty-free, yes, they are vegan, yes, they are made with natural resins, and yes, they are 5-free, 7-free, 9-free, or free of any of the chemicals that would be concerning to a consumer. So I'm not sure what they're free of, but they're free of something. In addition to my apex building coat, I did 2 full coats of white, and then I did 1 full coat of clear because I feel as though many people usually do encapsulate their manis in clear. So I did want to be sure to include that step in my process. Somehow I managed to not record my filing and buffing and my application of top coat for Aimeili. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but I do include it in some of the other brands as well. So you will get to see my filing and buffing process. This top coat cures for 60 seconds in an LED lamp. I also want to show you that even though these liquids are very thin, my bendy nails are not bending at all. So there is a fair amount of strength that you can get by using gel liquids with your dip powders. Next, we'll move on to Beetles. Here's the foundation, their base gel, and their bristles are a nice medium thickness, I would say. They're thicker than the Aimeili brushes, but they're not real thick and wide and cumbersome to work with. They fan out really nicely, and they don't seem to harden or goop up. At least they haven't for me. So I'm making a point to make sure that I'm following the directions for each brand as far as how to cure and what their timing is like. So for the Beetles, their base coat both in an LED light and a UV light, needs to cure for a full 90 seconds. And I would say that's really the only downside to this brand, is it really takes a long time to cure, which can get frustrating when you just want to move on to the next dip. I did hear back from Beetles in regards to my questions, and this is how they responded. They told me that their products are made in the USA, they are 9-free, they are 100% vegan, and they are cruelty-free. They did not tell me anything about whether or not they have natural resins or anything like that. They also did say that they are more than happy to offer discounts for the first 5 people to ask for one from me for their top coat. I asked them how I would go about giving this discount to these 5 people, or how you're supposed to go about getting the discount, and I've asked multiple times with no response. So they did respond quickly originally, but have since ignored all of my attempts at communication. So I would like to offer that discount, but I really don't know how. If I ever hear back from them and find out, I will definitely add that to the description below. I'm going to slow down the video here a little bit and let you see just how I do my filing and my buffing for each of these nails. You'll see that the Beetles doesn't really need a lot. The sidewalls aren't that bad. The cuticle line is pretty good. So I'm just going to take my 100 grit file and I'm going to sharpen those edges on my free edge so that my shape is the way I like it. And then I go around really quickly along the sidewalls and the cuticle line just to make sure that those lines are crisp. And then I double check on how the taper is from my nail, my dip nail, to my sidewall, because I like that to be tapered down really nicely. I don't want it to be a real thick and sharp edge, so I take care of any bumps or any kind of imperfections that I might see with the 100 grit file. Once I'm done with my 100 grit flat filing board, I move over to my flex file. It's 100 by 180 grit, and I usually use the rougher side to do my buffing. I don't want to do the smooth side usually, because when I'm using my gel products, it needs to have something to grip onto, and if I use something that's going to smooth it out too much, then those gel products just won't grip to the surface, and we'll find peeling that happens with that. So I just finish up with this file. I get it all nice and smooth the way I like it, and then move on to the next step. So after I'm done with the filing, I will wipe off all of the powder from that filing. I'll use my toothbrush to brush off what I can, and then for the rest of it I take a lint-free wipe and I really rub all that off. And then I go in with my foundation or my base again, do one full coat. I don't dip it in anything, I just wipe it on my nail nice and smooth, and then I cure it for the right amount of time. After that cures, I'll go ahead and grab my top coat. And with the Beetles top coat, it is the same brush as with the base, and I feel as though the consistency is really very similar as well. And this top coat for Beetles needs to cure for between 90 to 120 seconds with either the LED or the UV lamp. So I will put this on, and I will wait, and I will wait, and I will wait some more, and then I'll come back. So the shine on this was actually pretty nice. I did notice that there were a couple of little wrinkles, and it was a tiny bit rough to the touch, even though I did buff it pretty smooth. But I think you just might need to put the top coat on just a little bit thicker, or maybe do a second coat. Moving on to Gelish. In the interest of full disclosure, I will say that my bottles of Gelish are very old. I have kept them in a cool, dry place and they still work just fine, but I do believe they have new formulas out there. So just take this review for what it's worth. As far as the foundation brush goes, this is the shortest, stumpiest, bristled brush I have come across in any of my dealings with gel polishes or regular nail polishes or anything for that matter. I'm not a big fan of it, but some people may like it, so I don't know if their new formula has the same brush or not. So if you know, then please comment below and let me know. I'm genuinely curious. One thing to note with Gelish brand foundation is they say in their instructions that you need to, after you have cured your foundation, take a lint-free wipe and wipe the shine off of the surface of your nail prior to moving on to the next step. Now, you don't have to do that when you're dipping, but you do need to do it if you're just putting on the foundation and then curing it directly. As for the consistency of the foundation, it is a little bit thick, but it's not at all goopy. And I will say that even when these liquids were brand new, the consistency was exactly the same as it is right now. So it hasn't changed in all the years that I've had it. One thing that I really do like about these Gelish liquids is their cure time. It is so quick, which is very refreshing after the very long Beetles cure time. So in an LED light, for the foundation, it only takes 10 seconds to cure and 1 minute for a UV light for the foundation. And then when you're using your top coat, it just bumps up to 30 seconds for the LED light and 2 minutes for the UV light. So those times are really good. The response I got back from Gelish Harmony was that their products are made in the USA. They are vegan, they are cruelty-free, and they are nine-free, but they are not made with natural resins. So with my bottles, I found that they were pretty smelly. Even for my insensitive nose, it was a pretty strong odor. Now, maybe the new formula doesn't have that smell, so just comment below and let me know. I'm genuinely curious to see if they've made improvements on their formula and what they're like. So the buffing and filing for this took me about 2 minutes, which really isn't all that bad, especially considering the thickness of the foundation. I would have assumed that it would have needed a lot more filing because I would have thought it would have made it a lot thicker. But in all honesty, it was thicker, but it wasn't that much thicker than any of the other brands. So it's really comparable, and the new formula might even be better. So again, I needed to wipe with a lint-free wipe because I needed to get that shiny layer off. And then after that, I was able to go in with my top coat. The brush on this top coat is different from the foundation. It is long and thin, and just like a normal gel polish brush would be. The consistency is very thin. I have found that this top coat is very runny. It will flood, it will pool in your sidewalls. You have to be very careful to just make sure your coats are super thin and that you take your brush and you continually go into your bottle and wipe that all off and just scrape it off your nail and wipe it back in the bottle. You just want to make sure that you're just getting a thin coat and it's not pooling up all in your sidewalls, because that's just no fun. And again, maybe the new formula is better. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Even though I was trying to be super careful about making sure my layer was really thin, I still had to clean up my sidewall, and I was super careful. When you cure the top coat, you're going to cure it for 30 seconds on an LED light and 2 minutes for a UV light. Gelish top coats do leave an inhibition layer. It is not a no cleanse, no wipe top coat. So you do need to get some alcohol and a lint-free wipe and cleanse off that inhibition layer in order to get the nice silky smooth feel that you expect from a gel top coat. Now I felt that this top coat did leave a shiny surface, but it was a little bit rough to the touch. I think a second coat probably would be good. I wouldn't want to go any thicker on the coats though. Next up we have iGel Beauty. I went ahead and removed the previous 3 nails and reapplied my peel base. And here again you can see my very fragile, flexible, bendy, natural nails. So the brushes on these bottles are actually very nice. They are a nice medium thinness and they flow really nicely, and I feel as though the bristles themselves fan out really nicely as well. The consistency of these liquids is fairly thin, but they glide on really smooth and nicely. So as long as you're being careful to keep your layers thin and wipe your brush in the bottle fairly frequently, this is a really nice liquid. As far as odor goes with these liquids, I could smell a little something, but it wasn't bad at all and it didn't bother me in the least. The cure time on the iGel Beauty liquids is 30 seconds in an LED light and 2 minutes in a UV light for both the base coat and the top coat. iGel Beauty was really quick in getting back to me and answering my questions. So their products are made in the USA. They are cruelty-free, they are vegan, they are made of natural resins, and they are the Big 5 free. And they did offer to furnish me with the material safety data sheet if I wanted it. I went ahead and passed on that because I didn't feel I needed that much information for the purpose of this video, but I was thankful that they offered that. Another thing that they did offer me is a discount code for my viewers. So as long as there's not a sale going on, if you want to receive a 15% discount on any order, you can enter in a discount code of Shari15. That's SHARI15, and I'll have that down in the description below. Filing and buffing only took me about 1 minute and 23 seconds. Pretty much I only had to file my shape and a little tiny bit on the edges and along the cuticle line. Otherwise, it was just buffing. The top coat has the same consistency as the base, and it needed the same amount of curing time under the lamp as well. The top coat on this finished up super shiny and smooth, and even though the nail is really thin, it had a fair amount of strength to it. I was pretty impressed. Our next brand is Modelones. The bristles on this brush are very similar to the ones from iGel. They're just a tiny bit shorter, which I feel as though made it so I needed to increase the pressure just a tad bit to get it to fan out nice. The consistency for Modelones is pretty thin, but even though it's thin, I found that it actually stayed put. I didn't have any issues with running or flooding, so I was pretty happy about that. As far as odor goes, it's not a very strong scent for the base, but the top coat did have a stronger smell. Cure time for this base in an LED lamp is 30 seconds and a UV lamp is 1 minute. For the top coat in an LED lamp, it's 1 minute and a UV lamp is 2 minutes. So that's pretty consistent with most of the brands I've found. I did not receive a response to my email and request for information from Modelones, so I don't know where they're made. I don't know if they are vegan or cruelty-free or anything like that. The bottle says ingredient imported from Germany. Ingredient singular, so I'm not sure if all of the ingredients are imported from Germany, and I don't really know where they're being imported to, so I'm not quite sure where these products are actually being made. I looked online, I tried very hard to get answers to my questions, and my research has come up with nothing, I'm afraid. Filing and buffing for Modelones took about 1 minute and 26 seconds. So again, I took my 100 grit file and I took care of my shape and sidewalls and edges of the cuticle lines just to make sure all that was crisp. And then I moved on to buffing. It didn't take long at all and I didn't have any trouble whatsoever. So again, with the top coat, it needed to cure for 1 minute in an LED lamp and 2 minutes in a UV lamp. I did find the consistency to be the same as the foundation or the base coat, and there was some odor to the top coat that I didn't notice so much in the base coat. So Modelones is a no wipe top coat, which in my opinion is always preferable. I felt like the finish was super shiny and super smooth, and it was really thin and still very strong. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the Modelones. Next up, we have Sparkle & Co. So the bristles on these bottles are the clear ones that are like the Aimeili bristles. They're thin and they don't fan out a whole lot, so if that's the kind of bristles or brushes that you like, then this is a good choice for you. So the consistency of these liquids is actually pretty thin. I found that if I wasn't careful and paying attention, the product would run down the shaft of the applicator brush and then pool up on my nail. So as long as you're just careful and you wipe the nail off just to make sure that that application is really thin and not pooling up, you'll be fine. The cure time on both the top coat and the base coat for the Sparkle & Co product is in an LED lamp, it's 30 seconds, and a UV lamp, it's 2 minutes. In the past, whenever I've communicated with Sparkle & Co, I have found that when I message them through their Facebook, I usually get a very quick answer, and the customer service has been excellent. Now, this time I have asked all of my questions as to where it's made and whether or not they're vegan or cruelty-free or anything like that. And I have asked 3 times and not received a response at all. So I'm not quite sure if they just don't know the answers or if they are looking for the answers and just haven't responded. Communication on this is not so good. I don't know if they're just busy or what, but there you have it. I really don't have any information for you about their products. Filing and buffing the Sparkle & Co. products only took me about 1 minute and 17 seconds. All I really had to do was just take my file and take care of my shaping and edges and clean up the cuticle line a little bit, and then it was just buff away. The top coat is very similar to the base coat in a lot of ways. It has a very similar brush, it has a very similar consistency, it has a very similar smell, which is pretty much no smell. I didn't have any issue with odor at all for either the base coat or the top coat for the Sparkle & Co. products. This is a no-wipe top coat, and it finished very smooth and shiny just in one coat. So the product finished pretty thin, but it still had quite a bit of strength to it. As you can see, it's really not bendy at all, and all of these nails are really pretty thin and comparable to each other. Okay, we are in the home stretch. So let's go ahead and bring out the Tomicca brand. We'll open that up and we will see that these brushes are very similar to the iGel Beauty brushes. They have that nice medium thinness with the brushes that fan out super nice and easy. The consistency on these liquids is super thin. So it can be really runny and it can flood really easily if you're not careful. So when using this product, I highly suggest that you make sure your coats are super thin. Cure time for Tomicca is 30 seconds in an LED and 1 minute in a UV lamp for the base coat. And for the top coat, the LED is 1 minute and the UV is 2 minutes. Okay, so Tomicca did respond to my request for information very quickly. I'm just going to go ahead and read their email to you. They say, the gel base and top coat are made in China. We have not tested on animals, but we use all our products on the nails of our employees. Yes, the gel liquids are harmless. They made in our R&D products. Non-toxic, odorless, and pollution-free. Please feel free to use it. So they didn't quite answer all of my questions, but I have a feeling that's probably more because of a communication gap as they are located in China. Now, Tomicca claims that their products are odorless. I can't exactly agree with that 100%. There is definitely an odor, but it really isn't a very strong one. Filing and buffing only took me about 1 minute and 29 seconds, so that wasn't too bad. I did need to make sure that everything was cleaned up along the edges due to a little bit of flooding, but for the most part, the filing process and buffing process was pretty quick and easy. Tomicca is very much like a lot of the other brands in that their top coats and their base coats are very similar to each other. For instance, their brushes are the same and their liquid consistencies are the same, and the odors are very similar as well. This top coat is a no-wipe top coat, and I found that in just one coat it was a very shiny and smooth surface, so I was pretty happy with that finish. This top coat also gave me a pretty decent heat spike when I was curing it. One thing I really want to point out to you is that the liquids are so thin that the nail itself ended up being very thin. It's the thinnest out of all of them, and I believe that the strength suffered because of that. So if you're going to choose the Tomicca brand, I would highly suggest doing more layers of dip than what I did here, because as you can see, it's super thin and it is bending a little bit. Triple Vitamin was probably the most requested product for me to include in this comparison. They are made in the USA, but that is all the information I have because they didn't get back to me. So their brush, it's got that nice little fan and the medium thinness to it. The consistency is thin, but it did not run at all. It didn't flood for me at all. It was really nice and just stayed put. I did notice a bit of an odor with this one, but it wasn't that bad at all. Cure time for the base liquids is 30 seconds in an LED, and it didn't give me any info for a UV lamp. For the top coat, again, no info for the UV lamp, so I'm not sure if it's something that you can even cure in a UV lamp because there is no info. But the LED lamp for the top coat was 50 seconds. When I ordered these products, I looked on Amazon first to see if I could get them, and I know that you can buy their base bond for dip liquids at least on Amazon, but I was not able to find the gel liquids on Amazon, so I did have to go to their website to purchase. One thing I really wanted to point out here was when I ordered the Strong as Steel top coat, which is a no cleanse top coat. That's not what they sent me. They sent me the Triple Shine in a duo with a lacquer gel top coat. So what I got was a Triple Shine gel, Triple Shine lacquer, and then I also got the base in a gel and a base in a lacquer, and then it also cost me $10 in shipping. So I spent over $30, but I did get 4 bottles of product. My only problem with that is that I didn't get what I ordered. Now, I didn't go back and tell them that they sent me the wrong thing because I really wanted to get this video made, so I figured their no cleanse is probably not that much different from their cleanse top coat. You just need to wipe it off with alcohol at the end. So I accidentally went off screen for the filing. I will say that it took me less than a minute to file. I literally only had to do just the tiniest bit of shaping and buffing. It was so quick and easy. This top coat is super smooth and super shiny. I also got a real thin nail, and this is my bendiest nail, and it is super strong. It's not bending at all, so I'm really happy with this product. I'd say my only problem with triple vitamin was the fact that I didn't get what I ordered. But they did give me something else that works just fine, so I'm not terribly upset about that. I almost forgot I had to cleanse this. I was wondering why it was feeling a little bit tacky, and then I remembered, oh yeah, I need to cleanse this with alcohol because it is not a no wipe top coat. Last, but definitely not least, is Virgo and Gem. The brushes on these bottles are the clear, thin type of brush. And the consistency of these liquids, I would say they're the most like the triple vitamin. They're very thin, but they stay put. They do not run down into the sidewalls or pool up. They don't get runoff from the shaft. They're just really easy to work with. When working with these liquids, I really didn't notice any kind of an odor at all. The cure time, there was no information actually on the bottle for the cure time. So I felt like since they were so close to the triple vitamin liquids that I would just use those and see if those worked out. And they did just fine. So for the base, I used 30 seconds, and for the top coat, I used 50 to 60 seconds in an LED lamp. One thing I want to say here is that when you are working with these small indie brands, the likelihood that you're going to get good customer service is exponentially higher. They have a lot more to lose than the bigger companies like Triple Vitamin or Gelish. So when I was communicating with the owner of Virgo and Gem, it was like having a conversation with a friend. It was really, really nice and refreshing. And one thing that I took from this is she really wanted to make sure I was getting accurate information. So she didn't want to tell me anything that she didn't know for sure. So when she found out the answers, she got right back to me. And I'll tell you, their products are 10 free. None of the other products that I got answers from could say that they were 10 free. The most was 9 free. And there was no odor. They're cruelty free. And I'm just here to say I like these products even better. I liked them before I knew that they were 10 free and cruelty free, just because the products are so good, but also because just working with her has been such a pleasant experience. I will always be a big fan of Virgo and Gem just because of that. And they have also offered a 10% discount to any of my viewers that purchase from her. So run to virgoandgem.com and put NAILIT10 in the discount code and get yourself some product, because the dip powders and the liquids are fantastic. Just like Triple Vitamin, the filing and buffing for Virgo and Gem took me less than a minute. I barely had to do anything with my 100 grit file at all. It was almost completely just buffing. Top coat applied just like the base, nice and thin, stayed put and didn't pool on me at all. And this top coat is a no wipe top coat. It was exactly what I ordered, and she ships out very, very quickly, usually the next day. Virgo and Gem's top coat, it cured super shiny and really, really smooth. So I'm going to say here that Triple Vitamin and Virgo and Gem are almost identical. They both are top-notch products, but I have to give the edge to Virgo and Gem because they are 10 free. I know that for sure because they got back to me, but they also have really good customer service and support small business. I mean, look at how strong that nail is. It is super thin. One other thing I wanted to do with all of these nails was to apply chrome powder. I feel as though chrome powder will show blemishes that you just can't see with a normal white or other color underneath. So if you look at this graphic, you can see just how thin each one of these nails is, so you can kind of get an idea for yourself how thick or thin they ended up. But you can also look to see how well they chromed. So I will tell you that Gelish, Triple Vitamin, and Virgo and Gem actually did not chrome very well. Now that could just be a case of playing around with the curing times. I just went with the standard 50% of the time curing and then rubbing the chrome powder in, and then curing again for 50% and then applying the top coat again over it one more time. That worked for almost all of them, except for those 3. You can also take a closer look and just see which ones have more blemishes and marks on them. So if you look at the Model 1s, you can really kind of see the wrinkle in that product. The Beetles shows a couple of divots right up front. So you can actually see it on all of them. And I will say that the triple vitamin and the Virgo and Gem had practically no blemishes. Even though they didn't chrome real well, you can still see whether or not there are blemishes on there. In this graphic, I wanted to show you the pricing as of the end of June 2020, at least that I could find. So you might want to pause here and take a look at it. I encourage you to make your choices as to what you want to purchase based on what you can afford and what you felt were the best options for you personally. My preferences will be Virgo and Gem followed by triple vitamin, but I promise you I will use all of these. Thank you so much for tuning into my video. I hope what you saw here today will help you in the future when you make purchases of your gel products. So if you did like this video, please like it, please subscribe, please hit the bell notification button, and I hope to have some other great content up for you soon. Bye!